everybody, welcome back to another exciting horror pack unboxing. Ooh, the spooky box of horror movies that they very nicely have decided to start sending me for free for however long they feel like it. So we're gonna do an unboxing. Hi, Mary. You're totally in the shot. They can totally see you. I asked if she wanted to be in it. She's like, nah, it's fine. But I'm just excited to see what movies. I'm still reviewing the ones from the July box. This should be the August box. I have a link in the description if you want to find out about Horror Pack. I believe I have a discount code. I was supposed to set up a special code with them and wedding stuff got in the way, but I'm doing that, so hopefully it'll be in the link for you to get $3 off. But I believe it's like $25 a month for the Blu Ray. They still do DVD. They're gonna send you 4 movies a month, horror movies, sci-fi movies, things like that. And there's always gonna be one that at least at the time of the box coming out is exclusive to the box. And we're gonna see what movies we get. I'm gonna watch them all, try to force Mary into at least one of them, and then we'll shoot you little reviews and show you the trailers and the reviews. I know you used to do the trailers here, but let's just move through the unboxing. I tried to decorate a little bit with some of the Halloween decorations we've been getting from Spirit Halloween because I'm feeling it this year. This video is probably coming out while we are on honeymoon. So in October, I will get more consistent with releasing these for as long as they send them to me. But yeah, man, so very, very cool. It's not sponsored, but I do get the box for free. And you know I love these movies. So have I said everything I need to see? Have I said everything I need to see? It's late, it's been a long day. I've had plenty of wine because I was making a big old spaghetti and meatball dinner for the first time for a vlog while we're on vacation. All right, so you open the box, you get this. Now I'm gonna peek just a little tiny bit at the spines because I'm looking for that little hint of the number because I like pulling out the special edition at the end. So first I am on spine side. And then let's see here. Okay, so we're gonna go this way, and now I know the order. All right, so link in the description below for Horror Pack. Exciting stuff. Let's see what we get. Because even if I have these movies, it's a good excuse for me to watch them again. I like that, I very much do. And Mary and I on our honeymoon, we're doing the more romantic-y kids kind of thing with Mickey's Not So Spooky Halloween up front. For the last 4 days, we're in Universal at Halloween Horror Nights, which I'm a little bit terrified of. We got an RIP tour and everything, so I have to do the houses, including the bug house. I figured that would get a response. You be careful, lady, or I'll make us go to California and do the same to you on the Killer Clowns house. All right, first movie, Killer Clowns. No, I'm kidding. Ooh, now granted, I have this. We saw this in the theater. Mary might actually want to rewatch this with me, given the amount of time. But this, if you don't have it, you're in for a treat. We have Get Out, Jordan Peele's seminal first film of 3, yeah. This is a fantastic movie. I would like to get a Blu Ray. Hi, 80-bit. So, of course, let's see, here we go. Get Out is a true original, grimly tense and in tune with its time, says Scott. Dark printing. Mendelsohn of Forbes. When Chris Daniel Kaluuya, a young African-American man, visits his wife's girlfriend, Allison Williams' family's estate, he becomes ensnared in the most sinister, real reason for the invitation. At first, Chris reads the family's overly accommodating behavior as nervous attempts to deal with their daughter's interracial relationships. But as the weekend progresses, because blinding lights and all, a series of increasingly disturbing discoveries. 80-bit, please don't rub on the camera stand. Increasingly disturbing discoveries lead him to a truth that he could never have imagined. This spectacular thriller from Blumhouse, producers of The Visit, Insidious series, and The Gift, and the mind of Jordan Peele, Key of Peele, and Nope, and Us, is equal parts gripping thriller and provocative commentary. Bonus features include alternate ending and deleted scenes with commentary by writer-director Jordan Peele, unraveling the horror of Get Out, Q&A discussions with Jordan Peele and the cast, and a feature commentary. Woohoo, rated R. Good stuff. Thank you for a good excuse to rewatch this again, because it's September 2nd now when I'm filming this. It's officially Halloween season for me. I've been watching classic Disney movies all in August because I never saw them before and I want to get ready for the Disney part of the trip. But I'm getting in full horror mode now. I'll still watch some Disney stuff, but some of those are pretty horrible. All right, next movie. Ooh, oh man.
Alternate ending?
Yeah, I thought that might catch your interest on Get Out.
Yeah.
Mary might be, if nothing else, Mary can join the Get Out review for this box. We'll see what else is in here. This I'm excited for. This I kind of wanted to see. The grimace I made is, oh, this is extra work though, because it's a part 2 and I haven't seen part 1. So it's like, I have to watch an extra movie. That's okay. We have Brahms, The Boy 2, Electric Boogaloo. Is this? Oh, this is the Katie Holmes one. Was the Maggie on Walking Dead? Was she in the first one? I feel like that's the case. All right, we got Brahms was never just a doll. Unaware of the terrifying history of Hellshire Mansion, a young family moves into a guest house on the estate where their young son soon makes an unsettling new friend, an eerily lifelike doll he calls Brahms. Katie Holmes stars as the mother who increasingly becomes uneasy and terrorized by her son's new supernatural friend. Or is he a fiend? We got bonus features of an alternate ending and deleted and alternate scenes. It's an hour and 27 minutes. Easy watch, PG-13. Get that shit out of here. No, I'll still enjoy it. By the way, I forgot to tell you, this is rated R, an hour and 44 minutes, so get out. All right, before we get to the Horror Pack exclusive, let's see one more. By the way, I do not have Brahms, so that's actually one I do not, wrong movie. I do not have The Boy 2. I need to get The Boy as well. Let's see what else we got. This is actually great. This is a really good pack for the August box. We got Ma. I'm sorry, I looked into the thing and I thought it was, to me it looked backwards, so it looked like, wait, why, is this a misprint? Is it Am? But no, we got Ma. Now, funny enough, Mary hasn't seen this. I have. I thoroughly enjoyed it. But we got, when this came out, the company who put this out, was it Universal or whatever, who was doing promo, they sent us a promo box. It's cool stuff, so we did a promo box unboxing. But this is great. This is a really fun movie. I enjoyed this. Mary might be able to handle it. It wasn't, because you were kind of curious, weren't you? And you were like iffy about how violent it would be.
Yeah.
It's got a little bit of violence, but I don't think it's anything you couldn't handle. Time given. She needs more time than I do right now. So anyways, we got Sue Ann, Oscar winner Octavia Spencer, is a loner who keeps to herself in her quiet Ohio town. Sorry, the South Park thing just started running through my brain. When she is asked by a teenager to buy some booze for her group of friends, Sue Ann offers the basement of her home for these kids to hang out and party. But there are some house rules. Someone has to stay sober, don't curse, never go upstairs, and call her Ma. As her hospitality starts to curdle into obsession, what began as a teenage dream, Katy Perry, turns into a terrorizing nightmare, and Ma's place goes from the best place in town to the worst place on earth. Bonus features include alternate ending, deleted scenes, creating Sue Ann, and Party at Ma's with a theatrical trailer. It is rated R like it should be at an hour and 40 minutes. So these are great. I have 2 out of 3, of course, but again, if you're new here, I've been collecting physical media forever. Our DVD, Blu Ray, 4K collection at this point has something like 7,400 titles in it. So it's pretty hard to get me movies I don't have. But this is where one place Horror Pack really comes in handy, is with their exclusives, that at least this version or whatever, so especially as a physical collector, which, let's face it, especially, it's been very proven by HBO Max and the Disney Discovery Plus takeover that physical media still freaking matters. So let's see what we get. This sounds familiar. Woman in the Chair, Horror Pack, limited edition. Oh, it's off the spindle. It's a Blu Ray though, that's fine. Whatever this is, I haven't seen it. Horror Pack is back to their not great back designs though. I gotta call it like it is. I'm not gonna BS. And that comes because I'm also, one of the thousands of things I do and love to do is graphic designs, particularly DVD box covers and such. So I'm always gonna be a little disappointed when you don't get something even in the ballpark, and this is not in the ballpark. So yeah, here you go. See what I mean? Like there's like no credit block. The pictures are like screen grabs. They're not like photographer photos. And my disc is off the spindle. But Woman in the Chair, and this is number 74. They've been at it for 74 months at least. That's cool. All right, one of the most haunting movies ever. Well, one of the most haunted movies made. Unnamed critic from BWW-TV. Big White nope. That's a different search term. What?
Did you break yourself?
No, there's a word I have never seen. It's maybe a Japanese thing. An expatriate.
Patriot.
Patriot? I just feel like there should be an O in there somewhere, but there's not.
Expatriate.
Yeah, that's what it is then. An expatriate in Japan finds a ghost sitting motionless in a chair and decides to monetize his discovery by creating a ghost tourism business for the wealthy. That sounds kind of cool. Little does he know that viewing the woman in the chair brings obsession and death to all her spectators. No rating, not surprised. 2022, running time of 81 minutes. So if it's not great, at least it's short. And like I said, I'm going to tell you the truth on these. Now, as I always say, no movie that gets released is garbage. The movies that are garbage are the movies that people start and never finish because they get thrown in the garbage. Those are garbage movies. It takes so much effort and so much to even finish a movie, and then get it distributed is even crazier. So stop shitting on movies. If you don't like a movie, say, in my opinion, it was bad. I did not enjoy this movie. I personally hated this movie. Those are all acceptable. Just going out there and being like, that movie's hot garbage. You're hot garbage. Had enough of this bullshit.
Yeah, boy.
Seriously, go try and fucking make a movie and then talk some shit. It is not fucking easy. Sorry, I'm getting back into filmmaking and I'm being reminded of how difficult it fucking is. Also, planning a wedding and a 2-week honeymoon at Disney. Very similar. Except, you know, I have the money to pay the proper cast and crew to organize it. All right, anyway, sorry, that red wine just kicked in. All right, so let's get to the review part. Here come the reviews. That's what she thinks. No, that she's just being cute. No, well, she is cute. So we just watched Get Out.
Yeah.
Did it on like the big setup, you know, and I realized as much like we saw that in the theater, you know, opening night. We were ready for it. We were hyped for it. We were excited for it. We loved it, and of course, like most people, thought it was a masterpiece and all that stuff. Then. Sorry, Jack's digging around in cords, so she's getting distracted watching him for me, but he's gonna be fine.
He's got a toy back there.
Yeah, that's all. So the point being, this was actually our second watch. It's been a little while, but we still very much remember the story, which makes the second watch that much more interesting. So we're gonna do very brief, no spoilers, but then I will firmly warn you, and then we're gonna talk spoilers for a couple minutes, because this movie's been around a while. It's well known enough, and you know, you can skip, because maybe I do chapter stops, I don't remember. But but anyway, so no spoilers wise, and again, this is going to be a review from the point of view of a second watch. Wow. For me, it's not like hype, it's not like theater hype, it's not first time hype, excitement, blah blah. That is a legitimate masterpiece. That movie is so expertly, perfectionately done. That may not even be a word, but it should be for this. Character development, script, story, and especially on a rewatch, like knowing where it's going and seeing how well it's set up and hinted without you ever knowing, and making you think, you know, misdirecting you with the truth on your original watch is amazing. But then it's just so, the little details, everything about this, fucking amazing. Mary.
Yeah, what he said. I mean, literally, it's...
Thank you for elaborating slightly more.
Can we just get spoilers?
I know, okay, all right, fine. So obviously we both loved it, both had the same great second experience. So spoilers, this is your warning. We're gonna do spoilers. If you have not seen this yet, you really should.
By the way, I guess you're saving your story for spoilers.
Spoilers. It's like, oh yeah, I have a real fun, we'll start with that. But yes, spoilers. So I'm gonna start with a story that's, yeah, it's actually a minor, well, no, it's a big spoiler. So get ready, here's spoilers. I had forgotten until we were rewatching this. We had an amazing experience with this in the theater. An experience normally I might have been upset by, but with the circumstances. So, all right, let me do this quickly. There's some setup, just so you have context. We live in Lexington, Kentucky. If you know, and maybe you don't know sports, you don't know any of that, that's fine. I'm a college basketball guy. We're a college basketball town. It's hard not to live in Lexington, and we were born here, especially me. She's not really into it, but she gets it. You're a UK Wildcats fan, the basketball team. In the last bunch of years, for better or worse, I'm not making any judgment, we're not getting into it, but you know, we've turned into like an NBA draft farm, essentially. We recruit a lot of the top talent. We typically send many people to the NBA in like the earliest picks they're really wanted, okay? So the reason for this, and if you know the movie, you probably already know what moment I'm reacting to. So we go to the theater, and we're in Lexington, and we'd already gone to dinner, And we ran into the basketball team. We ran into the UK Wildcats, Coach Calipari and all that. And that was really, really cool. Just kind of, you know, like, what a cool little treat, because it happens sometimes. I've run into various teams 2 or 3 times in my life here, maybe more. But we go to the movie theater, and right before, as the trailer's been going, right before the movie starts, bunch of, not loud, but not quiet, people start piling in. And slowly but surely we realize, oh my God, this is the UK Wildcats. So they're in here to watch the movie with me.
So tough.
And yeah, and they had such a good time. And I'm pretty sure it was Bam Adebayo, you know, and a bunch of guys that went in the early draft. They were top NBA prospects, which is what I'm trying to get to with big spoiler that the, you know, of course, the girlfriend is very much a sociopath and psychopath.
She's the ultimate honey trap.
Yeah, and when she goes searching for her next victim, she looks up top NBA prospects. And as good as that is, just as its own moment in this movie for regular audiences, to be in the theater with a team full of legitimate going that year top NBA prospects, like if she was bad, I was trying to be cool and give them their space, like I wasn't acknowledging, I wasn't fanning out or anything, but like even in that moment, like I think all of us were just looking around, like, did you see that? Did you see that? Or do you realize what's happening here? It's like, do you realize what's happening here? So like we were literally doing like the back and forth, each other, like, oh my God, like everybody because everybody knew that it was the Wildcats that came in. It's like it was a big fucking wow. So I really need Jordan Peele to know that story. I know that is, as just a creative and artist, something a guy like that would adore to know was an experience that happened with something he made. So that said, let's run through a bunch of other things. One thing while I'm thinking about it, and I promise, but I just don't want to forget this. When he goes into the sunken place, I have a new visual theory. And again, it's art. It's beautiful. We can make what we want of it. But all like the little, like, almost drops of moisture or whatever flying around, I realize is like, I think I'm going to now interpret that as like his tears floating away. And all the ones that are coming up around him and from lower, those are the other victims. Like their tears never stop floating upward as a visual metaphor of the sunken place. Like we're all just falling into deeper and deeper despair, being the passenger. Okay, I'm sorry. That was a cool little visual thing. I got excited about this time. I made that connection. Whether it's correct or not, who knows, but that's my interpretation. Okay, Mary, because I talked so much, what are some of your spoiler talk, which you rarely get to do, favorite or whatever things here?
It's just watching like everything recontextualized. It's just so much fun. I was looking over at one point where he's talking to the groundskeeper.
Grandpa groundskeeper.
Yeah, and I'm going, what do you think he finds more disturbing? The content of what the guy is actually saying, or the fact that he's talking like so white.
Yeah, and I'm like, yes to both, because yes, there's no either or. It's like, holy shit. Again, just like I think one of my favorite recontextualized things, knowing the twists and everything, is when her dad is walking into the backyard on the house tour. I'm sorry. Yeah. And that whole conversation, especially near the end of it, where it's like, he's like, oh, because he'd already set up his dad was a runner and his mom loved the house. Yeah. It's like, oh, he's talking about the servants, right? Mm-hmm. And he's like, well, we kept him on because, and like he names them, and that's like the names of the victims I picked, I realized that connected more now. And he's talking about, and then he says, and I'm trying to remember what the specific line was, but he's talking about his parents and before they gone.
They had hired them on to take care of their parents, right? And then, but we just couldn't let them go.
That's the line. We just couldn't let them go, and it's like, wow, okay. Like it would be easy to be like, no, he's talking. That is so perfectly worded, leading into that end of the line. That, yeah, obviously your first viewing, you're like, he's like, we can't let the help go. We gotta, even though, it sounds weird, but no, he's talking about his parents. Like, he's like, no, so we kept them. Like, he's talking about the black people that they hired to take care of the parents. And they didn't want to let them go.
We found out like they were not hired.
Well, yeah, obviously, but I mean, like your first watch, like you're thinking, okay, yeah, yes, it's suspicious, but with the context of what's happening here, talking about how like we didn't want to let them go. Talking about he didn't want to let them go as the bodies. He didn't want to let their parents go, so we figured out a way to keep them around, like because and that's like they're the leaders of cult, weird ass, creepy ass fucking cult. Like there should be. Like, let's aliens this, right? Let's James Cameron aliens this. Let's get a sequel by a completely different film director, takes it in a completely different context and style, but, you know, like, just actions that are B movies that, like, let's delve into that cult and who else in it, and let's go just batshit and aliens a sequel to this. But, because that in itself to me is very interesting. But even just, like, the genius of, like, it's that he has this physical tick that saves him, and they don't realize, and as they're you know, hypnotizing him, they don't realize that anxiety clawing at things, and that's what saves him to give him the earplugs, and this is just so fucking good, dude.
Although
I could talk about this for an hour probably if I wanted to hold the phone, which I don't. But
now, this is Mary being nitpicky, Mary. Mary's going like, you would not start an operation like that without having both bodies there, because you need to be able to do things like that. That's
fair, but also if you want to nitpick that, it's like, and obviously this is just a stylistic choice, Mary. You got to remember, sometimes style matters more than details, because it did occur to me, and then I felt like I was marrying the movie, so I stopped. But it occurred to me right before the surgery that he's all gowned up, head wrap up, gloved up, but then pulls his mask over his face. I was like, that seems like you just totally infected and disinfected.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I mean, again, it's like
that too.
But I'm not actually gonna be upset by it. That's where you're negatively rubbing off on me. It's like, no, Mary, it's fine, it's okay, it's art.
I'm sitting here going like, logically, you would have prepped the black guy first, so that the.
Well, okay, you know what? Honestly, I had this thought too, and I'm thinking within the terms of the movie and the character, okay? Mm-hmm. It's like, well, no, they don't care about the white dude's body. They just want his brain. And
right.
And I had the thought in my mind, I don't know the science, does the brain, can it survive a little longer than the body or whatever, open air or whatever? So I don't know. But listen, it's a fucking fantasy horror movie, and they're dumb but awesome. I mean, but it makes so much sense what does work here.
That's like my one nitpicky thing.
Whatever. I mean, you know, it's fine. It's why I had to make 2 other movies and continue achieving perfection. And my God, I can't wait for more perfection. And this is so good. And like the rewatch of it is so fucking solid and strong. That like, I'm like, yeah, I got to go watch Us again. I got to watch Nope again. Like Nope, I know I'm going to love. Us, because of my expectations, I was slightly let down from myself. But I think like, oh yeah, a rewatch of that, I'm going to have this experience again. Like, I'm seriously considering going and rewatching Us when you go to bed.
I feel Us is the weakest of the 3.
Of the 3, I agree, but that's why I'm like, but you know what? This is so strong, and Nope is so strong. It's like, were we just not in the right place for that one when we watched it? Like, will a second watch really just make it? Not that it was bad.
Okay. The reason why Us has its issues, Jack, gravity works.
Jack, leave the cable box alone. Go ahead. Oh, fuck. We got a thing to do. Thank you, Jack, for reminding me.
Oh my God, Jack. Sorry.
just get your thought out. I'll worry about it. It's my word.
The reason why Us is a problem is because it's a very, very, very fascinating concept. But as soon as you start thinking about, well, how the fuck does that actually work? It becomes very dissatisfying, I think.
Potentially. That's what I mean. I agree with that from the viewing, the experience I've had with it. Even though I did enjoy it, but I feel like I just wonder if we missed something, and like on the rewatch, we'll be like, oh fuck, like, you know, like kind of with this, like, wow, it's still fucking amazing. I'm trying to do a thing that keeps Jack distracted. Sorry, everybody.
I feel like that it will not.
I mean, maybe not. But I have faith in the Jordan. I have faith in the Peel. And when those two come together, it's a pretty big deal.
I feel Us is for me is kind of like Cars, because as soon as you start thinking too hard about how the Cars world works, you start going, the fuck.
Okay, I can't deny that. That's not an incorrect statement. Especially when you get to Cars 2 and it's like, well, wait a minute. Cars pee with oil, and then cars have to get inside a plane to fly, but the plane's alive too. And if you're flying, you know, to another country, you're probably flying long enough. You've got to go pee. So are the cars peeing inside the living planes? Yeah. Sorry, you just sent me on a tangent.
But the thing is, you start getting into similar rabbit holes when it comes to us.
To us, we pee inside each.
We don't.
No.
I'm not saying there aren't other people who.
Hey, no shame or whatever. Like, we're not sex shaming. Hi, Cheeky Jack. Look at this cute boy who fell for daddy's lighting. We'll see if we can make you look all like ferocious. he's more into the light.
Anyways,
Sorry.
I think. Anyways, that's basically my argument for why Us is the weakest of the three.
But we're here to talk about Get Out, and we've done it way longer than I intended. Yeah, it's fucking great. If you've only ever seen it once, go see it again. Okay,
yeah.
Can we, okay?
Yeah, we're good.
Right. Okay, so Brahms, the boy, part 10. Actually, yeah, that's fairly applicable. All right, so I had never seen The Boy, but I did watch that a little bit back in preparation for this. I'm really behind on these reviews. And honestly, just a quick thing about The Boy, I actually like that more than I thought I would. I mean, it's fairly typical until the end, and I have to kind of spoil the end a little bit. I won't do it here, and maybe I won't, but I'll try. I might have to talk about part 2. Because what I did like about part 1 was I thought I did something a little different with the ending. You know, it's all set up as like a possessed doll movie and blah, blah, blah. And then they do some interesting twists and turns along the way. And it wasn't bad. Plus, you know, what's her name? Lauren Cohen. So that's, you know, always a good thing too. Now, this is part 2. And when after watching part 1, I was very curious. How would they do a part 2 to that? Because again, of the twists of part 1, it would have been very interesting. Well, here's my problem. My biggest problem with part 2 is, other than it just being dull and PG-13ing itself too hard, well, mostly dull in the middle. There's some good stuff here. But really, they basically went against part 1. What made the ending of part 1 interesting, they kind of completely undid and went with something more cliche here. And then they did it in a way that could have almost been interesting. But again, I literally found myself thinking, PG-13 gonna PG-13, I guess. Because, it's like, nothing's horrifying enough and nothing's under-horrifying, and it's a little disappointing. So I thought the very opening of this was pretty good. Katie Holmes is pretty good in it. And, it definitely takes some interesting twists and turns. And then I think the ending, for what it is, despite being a little annoyed that it undid what made the first one interesting, I did find at least the end kind of engaging, particularly from the bully scene onward. Although I have some issues with all that too. But a lot of the stuff in the middle, pretty meandering, pretty typical stuff for a film like this, and kind of loses my interest. And, I was like, whatever, okay, blah, blah, blah. But that being said, let's go into the bully section. So this feels like one of those bullying for the sake of we need somebody to bully so something can happen here. It felt very sort of unrealistic. Like, not the content of said bullying, but the setup for it and how quickly and easily it happens in the situation it happens in. And then how it goes down is pretty cool. It could have been more satisfying. It could have been more interesting. And then it's kind of left up in the air. And there's some weird editing and stuff going on in there too. At least initially. And then it kind of pays off, I guess. But once we kind of get to that, it starts picking up. And then we kind of get into the end. And the end's kind of interesting, but also kind of a mess that's all over the place, story-wise. Again, I'm not crapping on this. I've seen far worse movies. I've just, production, all the behind-the-scenes talent, fine job. It's a movie. You did a really good job. It's all nothing standing out, but it's like, you weren't given anything to work with to make something stand out and memorable. But, it's just okay. But again, I think if they would have gone more gruesome, a little more brutal, and done more of an R, sure. And it doesn't need to do that, but this did. Movies can get away without doing it, but this can't. And then there's like the end. It goes on too long. It's predictable. And I mean, I guess it's setting up the franchise going in a different way again-ish. But on one hand, I kind of feel like, okay, cool. I've also had a lot of wine. Keep that in mind. Okay, and I watched it on the big screen in the basement theater. First time I've lived here, I've actually gone down there and watched a movie without Mary because she's making cookies at her parents' house, and I'm home alone at a time when I had enough time to watch something down there. But I forget where I was going with this. I really sidetracked there. But yeah, I think that's what it is. The whole concept without... Actually, maybe I'm not going to spoil anything. But I kind of like that they change the trope each movie. I like... In concept, I like that they want to change the trope for each movie. In execution here, I don't think they're nailing it. And granted, that is something a little bit more difficult to do, so kudos for trying. But clearly we never got a part 3, and I can kind of see why. It's just, you know, it's just the material. It just was meh. It's a movie. I guess that's how I feel about Brahms the Boy too. If there's a third one, I'd probably watch it at this point just because I watched the other 2. But I'm not looking for it. Okay. Next movie. All right, third movie in the pack. It's been a long time. I'm very behind on these, but I'm finally catching up. I watched rewatched Ma. Dun, 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 dun. Anyways, sorry. So, Ma, I had seen it once before. I quite enjoyed it. Hell, we got sent a promotional pack, and there's a really cute picture of Mary. I'm in the photo too, but Mary's the cute one on my Instagram. But I'd seen it before, so this is a rewatch. So this is going to be a review based on rewatching. It's still really good. I do think Mary could have handled it in hindsight. There's not a lot of violence or gore. I think most of what you see, violence and gore that had her worried in the trailer, is in the trailer, and you've already seen it. You know, so it does suffer from being PG-13. I would have loved to have seen an R-rated version of this that went a little harder than this did. But you know what? I actually liked the characters. I cared about those kids. Even the douchier kids weren't that douchey. They were more realistically douchey, where you can kind of still see them as human beings to a degree. I like the descent into insanity of Ma. I like that it is how it's, well, I guess I can't really say that, it's spoilers, but what the real motivating factor is in here is always kind of cool for me, and how it unfolds. I don't know, I like what's the word I'm looking for? The way it plays with, it's kind of ambiguous in terms of, does all this occur because she's triggered to do it, or does all this occur because she's just been planning it forever and then sees her opportunity, you know? Obviously, Ma's the bad guy. That's in the trailers. There's no weirdness there. But again, listen, Octavia Spencer is fantastic in this role. And I don't like the douchey sheriff character, but I love him in this. Like, you know, it's not somebody I would like. I don't approve of them or things they did in their past, present, or future, that character. But it's so well done and feels very realistic. And there's a particular moment that there's a turn on a dime with kind of a reveal of he understands something more than you may have thought. And it's like, oh shit, okay. So what is it, Luke? Is it Luke Evans? It's not Luke Evans. What's that guy's name? I don't know, but he's really good. I'm blanking on it right now. I like the idea of the parting and, you know, Ma just trying to be put in and everything. Allison Janney shows up in this, which I tend to forget, even though she's really great in it. You know, it's like, damn, they got some real like Oscar talent in this movie for kind of a B-grade horror film. Is it that horrific? Now I'm trying to think, like, I mean, I guess it was more tense the first watch because I didn't know exactly where it's going. And this viewing, I know where it's going and what it's building to. Is it one of those things, though, after you've had everything revealed the first time, do you get more out of it the second time? You know, like with Get Out, because we did the review of that earlier. Yes, you get a lot more out of Get Out the second time, knowing what's actually going on. Ma is, I guess, nowhere near like that. But maybe a little? Not really. I think, again, what I addressed earlier about how premeditated anything is really the only difference you get from the second viewing, and it's not that strong of a difference. But, you know, I mean, it's a decent movie. It's a good time. Would I watch it again? Yeah. Am I hurrying to watch it again with how much stuff I have on my slate that I never get to? Probably not as much. It's less likely. I mean, you know, maybe Joe Bob puts it on. Sure, I'd watch it. You know, and I enjoy it. It's not like it's like, ugh, Ma, you know what I mean? Would I watch a sequel? I don't know that you could do a sequel. Maybe you could. Again, trying to also be vague about that in terms of not spoiling anything. But yeah, I'd watch a sequel. I think you could do a really there is at least one. It'd be awkward, maybe, But there is a version that could be like a hard R, badass, almost reinvention of the story. But knowing how these movies go, they would just pick a whole new group of people and a new Ma and just do a different story that's the same story. You know, if you want to, like back in the day of Dimension films, you know, like that kind of thing, they'd probably do that. And you have like 20 Ma's and it's always a different Ma. We can have a Ma and stepfather crossover. Let's do that. I don't know. Sorry, I got back from the new Avatar tonight. My brain is just all on that. I watched Ma last night. I just didn't have time to review it yet. But yeah, again, solid movie. Enjoyable the first time for sure. Still pretty enjoyable the second time. Wish it had gone really hard and been more R, more violence, more death. There's actually, without getting too spoilery, there's a pretty minimal amount of death in this movie. Which is, you know, again, suffrage of PG-13, I think. Can you make a good, scary movie PG-13? Yeah, it's happened occasionally. I would put that more in the paranormal activity genres. I think some of those were PG-13. But not in something like this. It just always lessens the tension. It's why, like, I'm excited for Megan, but then I heard it was PG-13 and I'm way less excited because it's like a killer robot doll movie needs to be R. I don't know why you're trying to do that PG-13, but I digress. All right. I think there's one more review in this box, so let's get to that. All right, and then we have the indie exclusive Woman in the Chair. So I'd love to talk spoilers about this, but I won't. I can be more specific. Now, this one is interesting because, you know, I mean, a lot of the indie exclusives haven't been the best movies lately. Occasionally they are. And this one starts off actually pretty darn good. You're kind of questioning, is it good? Are they doing something here? Turns out they're not. It falls apart as it moves along. But it is very competently shot and the sound is good, you know, like music quality, all that kind of stuff. The performances at first seem like maybe if they're doing a certain thing, if they're trying to be a little dreamy or something, they're working. But as the movie goes on, those performances stay very one note. And what you think might be a good performance is just not. They can't handle all the range of emotions, or at least they're not putting it on screen. Again, the story starts interesting. It's got a good setup. And there's a few beats throughout the end, you know, the middle and the end that work. But it really falls apart and stays kind of flat. My biggest problem is the whole movie is very monotone, and I don't mean necessarily the verbalized dialogue or anything like that, but it's just, there's no building tension, there's no building energy. It is what it is from the beginning is what it is through the entire movie, except for maybe 30 seconds at the end. You could see there was an undercooked concept of an ending here that even gets a little bit more interesting in its visuals while still remaining undercooked. But honestly, too, there's so much just bad staging in this. Like, it's hard to keep track of where people are, like where they're looking, eye lines, how are things laid out in the space within the room, you know, and like, and then the flow of events, like it just jumps over things like, oh, it's nighttime, they drove, but now they're in the house on the island that you have to row a boat to, and then it's dark, but no, they go outside and it's already daytime again. It's like, what? The ghostly apparition-y thingy, whatever you want to call it, is actually really creepy and well designed. And again, there is some cool stuff there, but all the motivations of all the characters makes no sense except the 33 and a third RPM version of Trey Crowder when he should be on 45. Yeah, the lead dude reminds me a lot of that guy. But, you know, a little slower, not mentally, just everything's a little slower and lower energy. The lady that plays Pearl, again, you think in the beginning, okay, she's doing something, there's something interesting here, but as it goes through, that's how she plays it the entire movie, and it's like, oh, you know, by the time you get into some of the more intense things, it's a little underwhelming. At least it's short at 80 minutes, although it feels more like 100 minutes. Because, again, it stays very low-key, very drawn out and methodical. And again, I mean, with the setup, like first 30, 40 minutes, it feels like it could do something really good, but then it just never goes anywhere. It just never takes off from there, unfortunately. And I do think there's definite skill here. And like, if this is a first or second time filmmaker, and hopefully there's somebody that improves every time out, because there's a lot of competency here, and there's some definite, you see glimpses of something that could be pretty good or even great. So, like, there is one moment when, like, how can I say it? There's kind of a cool shot. It's so near the end, though. It has to do with, like, footsteps and footprints and, like, a transition, and that's, like, pretty cool. But then there's, like, this whole scene in the police station that makes no sense, and, like, why some people got out. Why if you have a translator that speaks more clearly in English, is he not doing the translation of the interrogation? Because it's all set in Japan and stuff, and I don't know, man. Also, too, there's some stuff at the end that could have gone into a full cheese the Beyond territory. Just nah. We're just barely scratching the surface. Like, that's the thing with this movie. It's constantly barely scratching the surface of potentially interesting ideas, and then it never delves deep enough into anything. There's some CG in here that is iffy. Sometimes it's not bad. Sometimes it's better than others, and sometimes it's mildly impressive, and sometimes it's like, ooh. Whereas everything else, like, seems so quality. Once you get to one of those shots, it's like, ooh. But you know, I mean, overall, it's better than a lot of them. But I was glad it was over when it was over, and I think I was more disappointed because it started strong and interesting. And then again, why am I supposed to care about these characters? The main guy, maybe a little bit with his backstory, but the girl is kind of, her reasons for things, although very realistic, are kind of horrible. So, like, why should I feel for you? In terms of, you know, why she's with the French guy kind of thing. But yeah, I don't know. It was a movie, and you know what? Hey, it should be celebrated. It got finished, it got distributed, and like, that's 1 in 1,000 at least. So kudos for getting it done. Hopefully you'll do it again and do it better. Hopefully you don't do it again and do it the same or worse. But if you do it again and do it better, then I've got your back. All right, well, there you go. That's my thoughts on A Woman in the Chair and the movies this month. I'm doing these out of order. I got to go watch Ma still, but I know I like to put the reviews in the order that I took them out of the box. And I've seen Ma. I know it's awesome, but clearly Get Out's the best movie in this box this month. Okay. Let's get this done, because I've already opened the November box, and I got to start watching those movies. All right, so there you have it. That is the August horror pack. Again, I'm excited. There's some great stuff in there. Get Out, I already know is great, even though I haven't watched the rest. I'm excited for the rewatch on which one was it? The Ma. Yeah, because I loved Ma, so that's 2 really good ones right there. You might get married in 2 reviews. Who knows? Again, probably not time dependent. We're as I film this, we're about 2 weeks from the wedding. And we'll see how this goes. So hopefully I liked it. But let me know, what did you think of this month's horror pack? What movies did you like? Have you checked out Fred's Horror Corner on YouTube? He also does horror pack and a whole bunch of other stuff, and we all love Fred. Shout out to the Mutant Fam legend. You know. So yeah, comment below. Let me know. Geek out in the comments. Can't wait to hear what you have to say. Other than that, you can click the thumbs up button. Give me that good old thumb of encouragement, as I do love to be encouraged. Remember that we will get through this. We will get through this together. And check out, see, this is the August box. All right, don't worry about the wedding website anymore. Check out my music. I'm making more music for the end of the year. I know I'm so far ahead on filming some of these things. I really have to stop and think, when is this coming out? Pop punk, high energy, 90s style. Screeching Weasel has a baby with bouncing souls and Teenage Bottle Rocket. You might like what I do. Check me out on Spotify, Apple Music, anywhere you listen to music. Look up Eric Butts. Try a couple of songs. If you like it, awesome. More stuff coming this year. Also, I will be making, like I said, back into filmmaking, I'm making either a short film or a feature or something in the front of next year. So, you know, check out some of my old filmmaking stuff at ericbutts.com, my very out-of-date website. Again, thank you to the horror pack people, and thank you for understanding. They came to me right before all the wedding planning, and I was like, I want to do this. I will do this. I promise to do this. But those first few boxes might be a little tricky for me because, you know, they're totally understanding. And look for that the link and the $3 discount in the description below. I'll have something, I'm sure. And then more content, more ways to support the channel with the links in the description below. So click that see more button to see more butts. And now I'm going to get out of here and get ready for my spookiest, most exciting Halloween that I've ever had, because it'll be the first Halloween I celebrate with my wife. Woo! That feels good to say. And yeah, we're going ham. We've already been clearing out Spirit Halloweens before everybody else does this year. We're on the ball. Hit some cool stuff back there. Watch the vlogs for more of that. All right, I'm gonna go. We'll see you all later. To quote my buddy Fred, And this is his thing. I'm not going to steal it. I just want to do it this time. Happy Spookies.